Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video in my Mira's Finest series. This time I'm going to be taking on Pharsis with Lyn. And as usual, I'm going to be kind of talking about Lyn as a character, then going through my build, and then showing the build in action with the fight. So, as you probably figured out on your casual playthrough, Lyn is a character with a good bit of defensive utility. So let's go ahead and look at the arts she has available and kind of go into that. So Lyn, start with the auras. Lyn has a few pretty good auras. She does have a Reflect aura, Iron Prison, which gives Spike and increases resistance. And then she also has Enhanced Stand, which is not that good, but it does give healing. So she does have some pretty decent defensive auras, two good ones and one that's okay. But it does get me into the thing about Lyn that is not quite as good in terms of her defensive utility, which is that aside from Enhanced Stand, she doesn't have any direct form of healing, which means that in a lot of ways the damage that she takes is permanent unless you heal it off with Soul Voices or a party member. However, she does have a few other good buffing arts, Shield Wall being a very good example. Gives barrier to all nearby allies and has immediate use for its secondary cooldown, which is always nice, and it does kind of make up for her lack of healing. And I believe it's down here, yeah, Flame Cloak, which can give more resistances if you feel like you need those. Other than that, her other good utility art would be Trash Talk, which it's probably one of the best purple arts that you can get on the shield in terms of TP management, and it's also just a pretty good art for team support because it lets Lyn draw the aggro, which keeps it off of your other characters if you don't want them to have it. So getting into Lyn offensively, she doesn't really have any auras that help her there, which isn't great, but she does have some good offensive TP arts, which is pretty good for normal play whenever you are not fighting super bosses, but the fact that most of her good damaging arts are TP arts is a bit unfortunate for the context of fighting super bosses, because you typically want to be stacking resistances, which limits the amount of potential you can stack. As far as non-TP arts, she only has Bulletstorm, Bombardier, and Wild Smash. She also has Fire Carnival, but with Fire Carnival being the and Bulletstorm, which Bulletstorm doesn't really count as DPS art, so Fire Carnival being her only DPS art with the Gatling that is not TP based, and Wild Smash and Bombardier being her only offensive arts with the shield that aren't TP based, you almost exclusively have to go with a potential build for her, which is what I've ended up doing here. So I'll get more into the place of all my arts on this build later, but I'll go ahead and start off by showing off my gear as we get into the build. So real quick, you can look at my resistances here, so you can see what I'm stacking, and these are my weapons and armor. So as usual, you're going to want to have resist topple. You can block topple arts with TP arts, but that's kind of inconsistent. I don't like to rely on it. And other than that, you're going to want a lot of gravity, physical, and ether resistance where you can fit it. I am actually running two potential up augments because Lyn is just simply strong enough defensively to be able to not need as many resistance stacks. So I decided to invest in potential so I can do a bit more damage. I'm going with a physical shield because if I can inflict physical resistance down with drum roll, then that'll increase the damage of this. And also Lyn does not have core crusher to worry about, so you don't have to worry about using ether. The Gatling doesn't really matter. I just want double potential because I'm not going to be running a physical Gatling, and I just want to boost my damage as much as possible, so double potential is nice. And because I'm running mostly TP arts, Appendage Crusher, and then Night Vision to cover my accuracy and damage needs. Getting into the arts, Iron Prison is the defensive aura I'm running. Iron Prisons gives you physical resistance up, and it gives you quite a bit, so it's very handy. It's why I only have to run 35 physical resistance on Lyn. This does mean, though, that if I do not have Iron Prison up, I will get one-shot by the topple attack, so that is something to be aware of. And speaking of not having the aura up, the only cleanse that Lyn has is Cool Off, which consumes your aura. The main things you're going to be wanting to cleanse off in this fight are Time Bomb and Gravity Resistance down. And I want to say this ahead of time in case I forget to say it during the fight, which is, It's more important to have Iron Prison up than it is to cleanse gravity resistance down for this particular build. Pharsis does not have a single attack that will one-shot you while you have gravity resistance down 5, but the topple will one-shot you without Iron Prison, so you do just want to be careful about that. But Cool Off, it's a cleanse art, and if you have it, it consumes your aura and gives you 2000 TP if you had an aura active when you used it, which can be nice for TP management, but can be scary if you want to keep your aura up. Shield Wall has immediate use for the cooldown and grants barrier. Because Lyn doesn't have direct healing, barrier will be nice for making sure that I don't die to ether and physical art, since I will not have 100 resistance of either of those. Bulletstorm is solely here to build overdrive count. It does not do like any respectable amount of damage, so not a whole lot to say there. And then Drumroll, Hellfire, and Thermal Payload are going to be the main damage of this build. Thermal Payload is not a great art, but I didn't really have anything else to put in the last slot, so I decided to take a little bit of extra damage. Hellfire and Drumroll, though, are both pretty powerful TP arts and are going to be my main source of damage. And then Trash Talk, I already talked about this a little bit earlier, but it gives you a lot of TP, especially during Overdrive where you get the extra TP from the purple art, so it's just a really nice thing to have. Then for the skills, I'm running Mighty Muscle, which isn't really useful here, but I don't really have anything else super important to run there. Then Shield Screen and Steel Flesh. Guess I should talk about those real quick. Shield Screen will just make it so I take a little bit less damage, which is nice once again. Well, only when I have the shield up, but still nice because once again I'm not at 100 resistance on everything that Pharsis will be using. Then Steel Flesh just gives me some more HP, which gives me more wiggle room. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into the fight. So as per usual, I'm going to target onto one of the wings. Pretty much any appendage other than the horn will do, but I want to target onto not the nose, so that if I break it, I'm not stuck targeting the horn. Then the 5 appendage crusher will take any appendage other than the horn down to -5, which is the minimum. Get out the scale on the lethal tail. Go ahead and activate Iron Prison. And just start building overdrive count. I'm gonna go for Cool Off and Iron Prison. Missed the time there, but whatever. So overdrive count is already almost at max, so you can see this just very capable of building overdrive count, which is very nice. Probably should, that was a bit of a mistake there, but go ahead and activate my buffs to get me a bit more overdrive duration. I can just go ahead and start going in. Go ahead and activate overdrive just to get some extra duration. Just start doing damage. Trash Talks for TP. From here, this is about the art rotation I like to use for this. Go ahead and cleanse the gravity resistance. I'm gonna have to cleanse off the time bomb there, but I do want to wait. Like I said, I do want to wait for Iron Prison to be ready, because that topple art would kill me without it. I can't get level 2 or the secondary cooldown nice. So I'm good to go ahead and start doing damage again now that I'm nice and safe. So Pharsis is going to start healing, which means that it's going to become the usual war of attrition that this fight becomes with ground builds. But Lyn does more than enough damage. Also, I do have gravity. I probably want to. Go ahead and block the launch there. Cool off into Iron Prison to block the. Yeah, you can see even with the primary cooldown, Iron Prisoner that still did a ton of damage. So after this drama, I'm gonna go ahead and cleanse and then buff up. I would like for her not to heal. She might. Yeah, she's gonna heal here. Not really a whole lot I could do about that, just not enough damage. Not really a whole lot to say here for a little bit. I'm just going to be focusing on making sure I'm just doing damage and keeping myself alive. Using shield wall to keep my barrier up so I don't take too much damage. And there we go. So that is the Pharsis the Ever Queen fight using Lyn. Lyn is actually surprisingly good in this, I would say, as far as offensive goes. Whenever I first started this, I didn't expect that she would have enough damage to be able to actually outpace Pharsis' healing, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that she was able to without having to deal with attacking the core, which has a natural -4 hardness. So with all that out of the way, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!